All right. Okay, well, good morning, everybody. It is exactly 9 a.m., and today is August 12th, 2014. So excited to be on this Success Series call with everybody. And for those of you who are joining us for the first time, I know we've got a few people that are actually on the call for the very, very first time. My name is Carla Sandoval, and we actually have been doing these calls now for quite some time now, and we start right at 9 sharp, and we will finish at 9:30 sharp. So grab your pens and your pencils, because what I'm going to do today is we've been talking for the last 2 weeks. This is the third week of our Success Series call, and what I've been doing basically with you guys is I've been going to a success seminar at Landmark Education for the last couple of weeks on Wednesdays, and so, I write down the best that I possibly can with we have an amazing coach, his name is Jerry, and then I get to share with you guys what I got from the Success Seminar. And so what I thought I would do this morning is, since we have so many brand new people on the phone, is just really quickly recap what we've done. And this will do two things. Number one, for the people that are on the call for the first time, it'll kind of catch you up. But for those of us who have already been on the call, it will refresh, and perhaps now that we have been, in the series, it will maybe even trigger something new that you couldn't hear at the moment. And one of the things that's really fascinating to me is, you'll go somewhere and you'll hear what you hear, and then let's say like a month later, you'll hear it again, whether it's a movie or a song or anything like that, and all of a sudden you hear something completely new. And the reason being is because who you are is not the same person as you were. So it's almost like you hear what you need to hear, and you hear what you're ready to hear. So let's go ahead and do a really quick recap. So just to let you guys know, this seminar series, the intention of it's going to be a 3-month seminar, and, we'll figure out. Normally we do a call series for 4 weeks and then change the subject, but I don't know, maybe we'll continue it all the way through, because, it's not every day that you get to listen to a forum leader speak on a weekly basis. So the intention of the Success Seminar is to leave you living, playing, and expressing yourself in a new paradigm of success. So this whole series, this is what it's about. The outcome, the intention is for you to be left living, playing, and expressing yourself in a new paradigm of success. So the first week, what we started doing is we started to reveal what were the upsides and the downsides of success. And I asked you guys as a homework, and for those of you who are on the first time, when I say homework, you want to write this down, because you want to do these assignments, because every call is building on each other. Each call stands on its own. However, it builds on one another. Okay, so if you didn't do the homework, write it down, and if you did the homework, just kind of get refreshed on this. So we've revealed on what are the upsides and the downsides of success, and we started to look at what is the upside of your current paradigm. Okay, so like when you think of success, there are certain things that you relate to success that are upsides, things such as recognition, acknowledgement, power, happiness, whatever, right? But then we also have, our paradigm also has downsides of success. And these are the things such as, maybe some people relate to success in not such a positive way, and then they think of success such as pain or loneliness or sacrifice or whatever. So each and every one of us, the first week we started looking at, and your assignment was to explore and discover what is your paradigm of success. Because one of the things that we've been talking about on these calls since back in September is that everything is with your conscious. We've been really working on increasing your level of consciousness. Having more self-awareness, and it is not easy to really self-reflect, and it is not easy to self-analyze. Like, oh, this is great about me. Ooh, I don't like that too much about me. But here's the thing. It is through this discovery that you have access to power and access to change and access to transformation. So we started looking at the first week, what are your current paradigms when you think of your upsides and downsides of success? Okay? Then we also started to create the foundation of integrity. And we started to look at how, if you were to live your life in integrity, meaning, which is we're going to build on this call today, and that is when you when you say something, that you follow through with what you say. Now, we're not perfect, so one of the things about integrity is that when you don't fulfill on your promise, when you can't, and the moment you know that you will not be able to do what you said you were going to do, the important thing is not so much that you like, oh my God, and beat yourself up over it, but is to acknowledge it and then restore your integrity by being in communication with whoever you need to communicate so that your life continues to work. See, so many times what we do is we step over things like, oh, it doesn't really matter. I know that's something that I'm working on is like I always go, oh, it doesn't matter, because I sometimes dismiss things, right? And all of us, in one way or another, we dismiss stuff because we feel it doesn't matter to us. However, one of the things we started looking at is how do you land with other people? In other words, how do people, when you do certain things, what is the impact of your actions on other people? So we started to look at success and started to look at not only the upsides and the downsides, but what would it look like if you actually lived your life with integrity, okay? So that was pretty much the first week, and we started to build on this whole concept of starting to explore, like when you think of success, how do you picture it, like when you've lived success in the past. So that was your second assignment. The first one was to look at the upsides and downsides of success. The second assignment was for you to remember when you were successful in anything, when you had experienced success in anything, how did you live it? Like, what was that experience like for you? And the second assignment was for you to really start looking at how was life for you in success, okay? And then lastly, we shared about how when you share yourself, how a whole new world appears and a whole new world emerges when somebody shares. And this is why it's so powerful, our HOMs, our STSs, or our meetings. Why it's so powerful is because so many people, when they go up on stage and they share their story, a whole new world appears with that person. In other words, you have this little shy person as an example, right? And all of a sudden they go up and they tell their story. And, as human beings, many times we can't help but to prejudge. We make assessments on people. We look at them, and then boom, we already know like who they are. You know what I mean? Like in your mind, you've already made up a story about this person. But then all of a sudden, this person starts to share, and as they start sharing themselves, a new world appears. Like you're like, wow, I had no idea. So we looked at the importance of not only you allowing your team to share, but for you to start sharing yourself. And it is through your shares that a new world will appear. So that was the first week. The second week, we started looking at, started to reveal, and we're going to build on that today, and that is reveal what keeps you stuck in that old paradigm of success. In other words, the upside, the downside, how you lived it. That the certain thing in your mind keeps you stuck in that paradigm. Sometimes it doesn't really serve you. So, for example, all of us have limiting beliefs when it comes to success. Every single one of us, okay? So the question is, what has us stuck in those limiting beliefs? So we started looking at that, okay? But before we did that, we started looking at how we collapse one thing from another. For example, you have this identity of yourself. Like you think, this is who I am. Like I gave you the example of the designer. And you think, I'm a fantastic designer of clothes, but I just can't sell it. And therefore, you start relating to yourself as a failure because you can design, but you can't sell it, so your business is not moving forward. Therefore, you're a failure. But they have nothing to do with each other. One is distant from another. But what we do is we collapse them. And relative to our business, some of us think like, okay, well, I'm a great retailer. I can totally get people on the product, but I just, I can't get this whole recruiting thing. It's just, I don't know how to do this. And then you collapse them, and then I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this business. I don't know if I'll ever be successful. But what we started looking at is that one is independent of another. However, you can start looking at, okay, you know what? I have mastered this retail thing. I got it. Now, with this whole recruiting thing, maybe there are some skills that I need to learn. in order for me to have success in that area. The question now, your mind will never argue with you. Remember, we talked about this in the beginning. Your mind only takes orders. So you tell it something, it will respond. And the quality of your questions will determine the quality of your answers. So when you start asking your brain, like, okay, so this is something I need to work on. So then you start thinking, okay, well, what are the skills that I need to learn? And then you start looking. And because sometimes you go, I don't know. Well, then look. And then you start looking and you start discovering what are those skills that you're missing in that area. So that was the first thing. The second thing we talked about last week was that every single one of us has experienced being with somebody that makes you feel fantastic. Like this person, when they're in front of you, you just feel alive. And the reason is because when that other person is present with you, or in other words, when you are present with other people, you are like this light that brings life to people, right? You're not, you guys all know that there are people out there that they walk into a room and they're like this big dark cloud, and you're like, whoa, and you don't even know them. They haven't even said a word, but they walk in and there's just this draining, heavy energy. But then there's some people that walk in, they don't say a word, but they're just this beam of light. And here's what we started looking at last week, and I encouraged you guys to start letting your light shine. And how you do that is by honoring yourself, like really, truly, truly being true to you, honoring your gifts. And I shared with you guys, my gifts, God gave me a lot of gifts, just the way he gave you a lot of gifts. The journey in this lifetime is to discover what are the gifts that God gave you for this lifetime. There are the gifts that you need for the lessons and for the purpose that he put you on earth for this lifetime. And I gave you guys the example, like I'm not that great of a singer. So it is really obvious that my purpose in life for this lifetime is not to be the next, Celine Dion. That's just not it, right? Otherwise, God would have given me this natural talent to sing. But that wasn't it for me. That's not my purpose on earth this lifetime. So I started asking you guys to start looking at what are your gifts, and let your light shine. And how you do that is write this down, by being present. See, so many times we're like in front of somebody, but we've got our head somewhere else, our mind somewhere else, our eyes are on our phone, our ears, we think we're listening, but we're not present. And, I've been doing phone calls with my team one-on-one, mentoring them. And a common denominator that most people have been sharing with me has been, Carla, I want to live my life more balanced. I want to be able to fulfill on my business, my relationships, my body, and my spirituality. And, we've been doing this whole core four concept. For those of you who are new on the call today, there's a call on my website, I'll give it to you guys at the end, that actually walks you through this concept that I learned from an amazing mentor. The guy coaches elite men. And he built this whole idea on Core 4. And as how it have balance in the 4 areas of your life, which is your business, your body, your relationships, and your spirituality. So what I started to encourage you guys is to let your light shine. And we talked about the fact that we are not the keepers of our light. I was in Fresno this last weekend, and, I built a website called entrepreneurintelligence.com. And the purpose of me building this website was because I've had all these calls that we've been doing this September. And I wanted to be able to put them up online so that my team could have them, and now they're not all in order. But see, here's the thing. It would be so selfish of me to not allow other people to see it. So, from the STS, I told everybody, hey, go ahead, get on the calls, do the websites, whatever you guys need, because the thing is, I cannot be the keeper of my own light. Now, one of the things I want to tell you is that will people challenge you and even, sometimes put you down? Yes, but you've got to be true to yourself. And if you know you're on the right path, you've got to keep going. So we talked a lot about that last week. And then lastly, the things we started to look at that was it. Okay, so now let's go ahead and start building on this whole concept. So I wanted to bring you guys up to this point, because one of the things that we have been talking about since the beginning of the call is that everything rises and falls on leadership. Everything. So if you want your life to start shifting, you want your life to start taking a different direction, it starts with you. That's it. Hang on a second, let me grab some water. It starts with you. So if we start thinking that we are the cause of our life, and you can cause anything to happen, okay? So let's start discovering how can we have success as a matter of our word. And here's one of the things I'm going to challenge you guys to start thinking about, and that's this. Just think, okay? Think for a second. If you think about who you are, like if I ask you, who are you? You probably would say things like, your name, I'm Carla. Or you probably would say things like, I am a mother. You probably say things like, I am a construction worker, whatever. But here's the thing. You really, how you exist is through language. See, when you were born, your mother and your father or whoever gave you a name. And then as they gave you the name, boom, there you were. You showed up. Now everybody relates to you through that name. Now, I hope you guys can follow me with here. It's kind of a little bit of a phenomenon, and that is that really we are nothing other than our word. That's it. You declare yourself, and then you show up. So think about that for a second. You declare yourself, and then you show up. So what I mean by that is this. When you start looking at, how people relate to one another, they relate to one another based on beliefs of one another, all through language. So somebody walks through the door, oh my gosh, that girl right there, she's so mean. And then boom, who is there is mean. Or somebody can walk in the door and then you say, oh, see that person right there? That person, she's powerful. And then boom, who is there is powerful. So now because of your declaration of that person is powerful, you now relate, treat, talk, respond, interact with powerful. You no longer interact with that meat flesh person. You now interact and you relate and you speak into powerful. So I hope you guys can get this, okay? So, how many times have we known people that they're like, for example, you've got this person and then she's super nice to your sister, but she's not that nice to you. The reason being is because people, you might want to write this down, people will respond to your relationship to them. So if you start looking at people like, oh, she's rude, that's who's going to show up, is a rude person. So if you want to transform your relationship to people and relationship to life, you've got to transform your language, recreate people. Now, that's fantastic, right? But here's where it starts. It's with you. It starts with you, and that is this. If you start looking at you are nothing, you start looking at and really discover the power of your word. That like from nothing, there is you, like this flesh person, meat, organs, heart, lungs, all that stuff. There is you and your word, and that's it. There is nothing else. So if you think about this, if it's from nothing, you say who you are, you can now declare your self-expression. And therefore now you just step into that self-expression that you just declared to be so. So you've got to understand one thing, and that is, actually we talked a little bit about this last week, and that is, where do you cut corners in your life? Like you cut corners in your relationship, your business, where do you cut corners? And most of the time, the reasons why, actually not most, almost always, the reason why we cut corners is because how we relate to that thing is like not that important. So through our words, we say, oh, it doesn't matter. Boom, cut the corner. Oh, I'm indifferent. Boom, cut the corner. But just think of something. And what if, from the matter of your word, with no reason, no explanation, you declare what you are going to stand for. For example, let's just say you say, you know what? We've got, I told everybody in Fresno we have 11 stinking months to extravaganza. 11 months. What if you could declare and like to stand for your next position. So, for example, let's just say you're at Meal Team, okay, and you declare and stand for, you know what, Extravaganza 2015, St. Louis, Missouri, I will be President's Team. And then somebody asks you why, and you go, because I said so. And you stand for that. Think about what would your life look like? What kind of actions would you take if what your life was all about is your declaration of your word, and you stand for that declaration, and that's it. No reason, no explanations, no because I think it's time, no because nothing. It's because I said so. My coach, he was so great. He said, if you guys could just, if you just can really get the power of your word and really declare something and stand for something, all because you said so, you will discover something completely new and relate to life in a whole new way. And his wife was actually in the room. Her name is Wendy. And he said, listen, I don't have a single reason for why I'm married to Wendy. And, of course, the room was like all quiet, right? He goes, no, listen. Listen to what I'm going to tell you. I don't have a single reason to marry her. I married her as a matter of my word. Now, yes, of course, there are a lot of great things about her that had me be interested, that had me interact, that had me give her my word. But I don't relate to her like, okay, well, I'm going to love you because you cook for me, or I'm going to love you because you make lunch for me, or whatever. He's like, no, I love her because I say I love her. And I'm married to her as a matter of my word. Now, do I have to do work for that? Absolutely. Do I have to constantly recreate myself? Absolutely. He's like, but here's the thing. I have that power. I have that power. And he said, I wish you could just see the possibility that you are as a matter of your word. I love that. So I'm going to tell you guys that. What possibilities could you create all as a matter of your word? All because you said so. All because you declared it. And when somebody comes to you and goes, why are you doing that? You say, because I said so. Why are you doing that? Because that's what I stand for. I mean, that is true power. If you really think about it, that is true power. And I love what he said. He said, I'm going to just read you guys this little quote that he said. He said, I wish you could see the possibility that you are as a matter of your word. What you have to contribute to the world and to yourself, and I'll add to your family, is limitless. Limitless. And the fulfillment of that hasn't been experienced yet. I'm going to just think about this for a second. If you could see the possibilities that you are, all because you said so, and the contributions that you could give to life, to your family, to yourself, to your business, to your community, they're limitless. And just consider that fulfillment, you've never experienced it before. You've never experienced it before. And here's why. Because so many times we are indifferent to our word. We're indifferent. We get ourselves off the hook. So here's my request for you guys and the homework for you guys this week, and that is this. Live this week all as a matter of your word. Like you say something and that's what you do. You say something like, for example, I'm going to confess, okay? This morning, I put on my whiteboard, as you guys know, every night I write down what I'm going to do the next day. And I wrote on the whiteboard, wake up 5:30, be at the gym from 6 to 8:30, okay? Well, I didn't make it from 6 to 8:30. I made it from 6:30 to 8:30, okay? And so here's the thing, but I did. But it was like when I woke up and it was already 6, I will confess I was like snoozing. I'm like, oh, maybe I'll go after this. Maybe I'll go after the call. And then I remembered. I'm like, okay, hold on, Carla. No, get up. And I woke up like around, I got up around 6:15, took my shake, took my drinks, and got to the gym at like around a little after 6:30. But see, here's the thing. I broke my promise to myself, but I restored it. Okay? So I'm going to challenge you guys for this week and request and take it on. Like, you say something and do it. And if you don't, no problem. Be in communication to restore your integrity. And then here's another step though, is you got to make a new promise. So for example, if you told somebody you're going to be at, this is why we start these calls at 9 sharp. Like 9 sharp, not 9:01, not 9:02, like 9 sharp. And we will end the call at 9:30 sharp. The reason why is because we have to start practicing acting and living inside of integrity, which means inside of our word. So I challenge you guys this week to do the following. Let's say you told somebody you're going to meet them at, 5 o'clock. And you're going to be 2 minutes late. You're like, oh, come on, it's just 2 minutes. See, right there, you just cut corners. But you be aware, and then you just call the person, send them a text, go, hey, listen, I'm running 2 minutes late. I'll be there by 5:03. So you restored your integrity by cleaning it up that you were not going to be there at 5. And then you made a new promise, which was, I'll be there by 5:03. Just think what your life would be like. What kind of relationships could you build if everything was because you said so and you lived inside of your word? People will relate to you in a whole new way. You're going to be 10 minutes late. Don't be indifferent. Listen, I have people in my life that are like hours late, like an hour late. And then when they show up, they don't even apologize. To me, that's so inconsiderate, right? But that's how they live their life. And what have we said on these calls? How you do one thing is how you do everything, okay? So my request for you guys is to really start looking at what could happen and to really get how powerful could your life be all because you said so. How powerful can your week be if you literally lived it as a matter of your word? You say it, you do it. And here's what will happen, okay? Believe it or not, I'm sure all of you guys have experienced this, and that is the universe, the world out there, the universe will, okay, I call them my little angels, okay? But the universe will now relate to you as, wow, that person right there, they're no joke, okay? So this is what he said, okay? I love this. He said, watch what happens. The universe will get that there is power right there where you are. And you know how powerful you are by how when you declare something, boom, it shows up. You declare something, and it's like you say chair, and chair shows up. Okay? That is how you know that you've got power. And that is by the speed and the velocity that things show up, all because you declared it. I remember there was a time, my brother Gabriel's on the phone, so he won't let me lie, but it's like, I used to play all the time with manifesting and declaring things, right? So this is like when I was like at the peak of my business, I was like really unstoppable, like I would say something, they would even call me kind of like a witch, like eres una bruja, because I would say something and it would happen, right? So I had to be so careful with what I would say. So I remember one time we were at the airport, and we were like, they didn't let us sit together. And I was like, watch. And then the lady was like, no, the airplane is full. And, but go ahead and ask when you're up there at the gate. I don't know if it's going to happen. So we got to the gate, and there was somebody in front of us. And then I'm like, watch, we're going to sit together, Gabriel. And we got to the front, and I told the lady, I'm like, hi, and I made my, I said, she's in my seats, and I want to sit with my brother. Is there any possibility? And she's like, oh, the flight is full. I'm like, I know, but could you just please look? And she looked, and she goes, oh my God, there's 2 seats here together. And I turned, I'm like, that's right, because that's the thing. You start playing with life, and then the universe gets, where she's at, in this case, like my name's Carla, right? Where Carla's at, there's power. She says it, it happens. Let's go. But see, here's the thing. You can't just tell the universe and want the universe to give you without you giving it. So if you want the universe to take you seriously, you must be taking yourself seriously by what you say, by what you declare, and then following through. Is it easy? No. It's simple. It's really simple, but it's not easy. But here's the thing. Let's start building that muscle this week. Let's start being conscious of what you say. Be in communication. Restore your integrity when you break it, and make a new promise. So that's and when you do that, you guys, watch how successful you will be in your relationship. If you tell your kids you're going to do something and you can't, clean it up, make a new promise, okay? So it is 9:30 exactly. So I'm going to stay on the phone. What I'm going to do is I'm going to end the recording, and then I'm going to open up the lines for questions and answers for just about 5 minutes. So hold on a quick second.